night for the offense last night as the Rockies banged out an 8-1 win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. They broke things open with a 7-run 7th inning that included 5 extra base hits, and yes, Cargo going deep. A 2-run shot. Great to see the Rockies shaking hands after the ball game. Tonight, game 2 of this 3-game set between the Rockies and Clint Hurdle's Pittsburgh Pirates. And with that, we welcome you inside and upstairs. Good evening, everybody. Glad as always that you're along with my partner, George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. The Rockies last night, a comfortable win. Good pitching from Brett Anderson, 6 1/3 shutout innings. Tonight, they'll turn the baseball over to Tyler Matzik. I've been impressed with him.
I have too, and what's impressed me is the way he's turned into a professional, a guy that knows how to conduct himself in the locker room, conduct himself on the field, and his work in between starts. You see how many 8 starts, full quality so far. The walks, not an issue here like they had been at the minor league level. Yeah, the whip's a little bit high, the opponent average a little high. He's still kind of finding his way through this league, learning what works on given nights. But the key to me, what he's really impressed me with, is his ability to find what is working and stay with it and get outs with it and drain it as long as he can. That's the biggest thing for me. And when he's able to manage traffic with a lot of ground ball outs, he's able to put the ball in the bottom of the zone and get the strikeout with a good breaking ball in McCutcheon over in Pittsburgh. And I think if he watched the game last night, you're saying, well, how's he going to handle back-to-back starts against the same ball club? Well, if you watched last night and watch what Anderson did and your McHenry and Matzik, you kind of look at that plan that went forward and use that attack mode as they did.
I'm glad you mentioned McHenry, because McHenry knows this lineup very well, having played with all those guys the last couple of years. So it's Tyler Matzik on the hill tonight. When we come back, we'll talk about DJ LeMahieu. Boy, is he swinging a hot bat. That'll be next in front of first pitch this evening.
weekend set at Coors Field. And we need to talk about DJ LeMahieu. Man, the guy can play second base, and he has increased his batting average over the last month, 20 points. He was hitting .266 on June the 26th. Here we are, July 26th. He's up to .286. That's because he's been going the opposite way. He's been hitting the ball hard, and he has been staying consistent. Walt Weiss calls him Steady Eddie in the field and at the plate. And the key is he has done this hitting out of the 8th hole. Not an easy thing to do in the big leagues.
I know how difficult that 8th spot in the National League is, and I feel comfortable with DJ down there. Not that he couldn't hit higher in the lineup. He certainly could and has, but that's a tough spot. And with his feel for the game and his ability to take an at bat according to the situation, I just feel like he really provides us with something in that 8 hole, because it's not easy to do.
This will be DJ's 99th game of the season. This month he has started 18 games, and he has a hit in 15 of those 18. And when you look at multiple hit games in terms of the Rockies, only 5 have 20 or more this year. Tulo and Morneau with 31. You've got Charlie Blackmon with 30, Corey Dickerson with 21, and as of last night, because he went 2 for 4, DJ LeMahieu now has 20. He has been steady at the plate and certainly steady at second base, and Walt Weiss will count on that happening again tonight as the Rockies try to make it 3 straight wins. It's the Rocks and the Bucks. First pitch when we come back on Root Sports.
By your neighborhood Toyota stores, Toyota Let's Go places. By Inova Cancer Care, treat prostate cancer painlessly in only 5 sessions with minimal side effects. Visit InovaCC.com. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at Southwest.com. Overcast evening, but a pleasant Saturday night overall as the Rockies look to make it 3 straight. And 2 in a row against these Pirates. Josh Harrison's going to lead things off tonight for Pittsburgh. And Tyler Matzik on the hill for the Rockies. Here's the lineup he will face. In addition to Harrison, Jordy Mercer will move up for the bottom of the lineup. He'll bat second tonight. Then Andrew McCutchen in his customary spot in the 3-hole. Gabby Sanchez. Neil Walker's really swinging a hot bat. Russell Martin. Gregory Polanco was leading off, but against the lefty, he drops down to the 7th spot. Brent Morel and Jeff Locke round out the lineup. Tyler Matzik making his 9th big league start, 1-4 mark. For more on him, we check his numbers. Brought to you by Inova Cancer Care. Treat prostate cancer in only 5 sessions. Visit InovaCC.com.
Well, you see the numbers on the screen. Most of you do it at 1-4, 491 earned run average, 47 2/3. There's a little more to that story. Just 3 home runs allowed and almost 48 innings pitched for Tyler Matzik. So a guy that does keep the ball in the ballpark. 1-3, 592 earned run average at Coors Field, and first pitch of the night, strike 1.
At 94 miles an hour. He's got a live arm. And I really think, George, one of the better ways to describe him through his first 8 starts, he's been very steady. It has not been kind of an uneven where, you know, first game in the big leagues, obviously he's fired up, and then there was a tremendous drop off. It has not been the roller coaster ride that it had often been in the minor leagues for Tyler Matzik. He's been pretty consistent.
Not walking guys. I mean, he's walked 15 and 47 2/3, and that's what in the minor leagues, that's the biggest thing that he battled was the walk.
And he induces a pop up to shallow center field, and Drew Stubbs comes on and makes the catch. Josh Harrison retired on that curveball. That'll bring up Jordy Mercer. Takes us to a look at the Rockies defense, brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com today to learn more. Brandon Barnes is in left field. Charlie Blackmon in right. We mentioned Stubbs is in center. Cargo was a late scratch. He turned his ankle at home today. He's day-to-day. Nolan Arenado, Josh Rutledge, DJ LeMahieu. Willeen Rosario's at first base against the lefty Locke. And Michael McHenry's behind the plate. And that pitch misses to Mercer. Down low. Ball 1 on the Pittsburgh shortstop. And that's pulled foul. Hopping out of the way is Nick Leyva, former big league manager.
Long-time third base coach with the Cardinals, managed with Philly.
He's a baseball lifer.
Yeah, guy went down to the minor leagues afterwards, managed down there, coached down there. They got another shot with Clinton. Here he is, third base coach.
This is sliced to Rosario. Willeen is going to hustle to the bag and get there. Nice pickup there by the baby bull, George.
Well, nice little backhand, and then recognizing where the runner is. And as a first baseman, as you collect the baseball, you need to judge your distance. Matzik's coming over, but you judge it. If you run in front of it, that runner coming up the line, typically they're not going to want the collision. If you beat him to the back, they'll slow down. It helps you, gives you that advantage for the out.
Yeah, baby bull looks like you know, he's stout like a Mike linebacker. About 225, 230 pounds. Andrew McCutchen at the plate, 2 outs, nobody on. And McCutchen swings and fouls that cut fastball off his leg. 95 miles an hour with that heater. McCutchen, the reigning MVP in the National League. First Pirate MVP since Barry Bonds was the MVP of the NL in '92 and also in 1990 when he's with Pittsburgh. He won several more when he was in a Giant uniform. The late great Willie Stargell, good friend of my partners, won it in '79, the We Are Family team.
Actually tied with Keith Hernandez, but co-winners that year.
Yeah. That was when Keith was still with St. Louis. Big Dave Parker, you like facing him. He won it.
I like facing him like you can imagine. Him and Stargell back to back.
It's a ground ball to third. Arenado retreats, long throw, and a pretty one. Well done, Tyler Matzik. That was a 9-pitch first inning. left-hander Jeff Locke. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead it off. He was 0 for 3 last night. He brings a .301 batting average in the ballpark tonight. When leading off the ball game, he's hitting .388. That ain't bad. The rest of Walt Weiss's lineup: Josh Rutledge is nestled into that 2 spot, done a terrific job, and playing a good shortstop in the absence of Troy Tulowitzki. Arenado will bat third with Cargo out of there. Then Willeen Rosario, Drew Stubbs, Michael McHenry, Brandon Barnes, DJ LeMahieu, who we featured in the open, and then Tyler Matzik. Take a look at more on Jeff Locke, who's been very good on the road this year. His number is brought to you by Nova Cancer Care. Treat prostate cancer in only 5 sessions. Visit novacc.com.
2-1, 305 earned run average, 62 innings. The thing that jumps out to screen at you is only 8 walks in those 62 innings. In his first start this year, in 5 1/3, he gave up 6 earned runs. In his next 8 starts, he has a .238 earned run average, which is 8th best in the National League since June the 8th. So numbers have been good of late. He's held the opposition down early in games. Where he has difficulty is with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. They've hit the ball very well against him at .375.
This is a beauty. Charlie took it with him, George, and the bunt single for Blackmon. And that .388 average leading off games will rise a little bit more.
Now this is all well thought of way before this ball game started, of what he wanted to try to attempt. You try to snap throw over. The only way you have a shot at him is the pitcher leaves with him immediately when the ball's bunted. You can't hesitate at all with the speed of Blackmon. Mike Shaw, Subaru Supermo, you get a very good look at his concentration. And he set the bat fairly early, but he positioned it and angled the bat to take it up the first base line.
So here's Josh Rutledge. 6-game hitting streak, 10 for 24 since Troy went down. 2 for 4, a couple of doubles last night, and he matched his career best with 4 RBIs. Top of the strike zone, as indicated by Eric Cooper tonight. Tom Hallion's at first, Tripp Gibson at second, Chris Ciccione is at third. Rockies were swept in Pittsburgh last weekend. One big last night, 8-1. Locke, an interesting story. Guy was an all-star last year and then struggled enough that he was in AAA for most of the first half of the season.
Eliminate the pressure, go down to AAA, and just make some starts down there. Indianapolis, one of the best ballparks in the International League to pitch in. It's a very big pitcher's ballpark.
And he'll go over to Gabby Sanchez again. All right, one the crowd will put up with. You go back to back, you're going to hear about it.
He's just trying to tighten up Charlie with 18 steals so he doesn't take off on him and stay out of the double play if a ball's hitting the ground. But I get the booing. They want him to face Josh, who had a big night last night.
Mentioned this on the broadcast last week when we saw Locke. He's from that baseball mecca, North Conway, New Hampshire. Crank baseball players out of North
Conway. Good fishing
Conway.
area. Oh, you're talking baseball.
Pretty good cross-country skiing area. Strikeout of Josh Rutledge, 1 out. Bill and Arenado coming up. Here's a look at the Pirates defensively, brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. In the outfield, Josh Harrison in left, Andrew McCutchen, Gold Glove caliber center fielder, and Gregory Polanco in right. Brent Morel for Pedro Alvarez, who pinch hit last night. Alvarez with a gimpy knee. Mercer has had some fielding issues of late. A couple errors in that Rockies series in Pittsburgh. This ball's drilled to deep center field. McCutchen going back and will have a play. Boy, Nolan gave it a ride. Ambushed him.
Nolan in batting practice today took one of the best batting practice I've seen him take in a long time. He took advantage of a high fastball, just came up short as McCutchen tracked it all the way to the wall.
So with 2 outs, Wallin coming up. And a strike on Rosario. It's not Rosario's first game batting cleanup. He has 7 others this year. A couple home runs in the cleanup spot. You know, in the old days, remember in class, George, they call out Frazier and you yell here?
Yes.
Now with the Rockies, when Walt gets everybody together, they say healthy or not.
Exactly. Roll call. You just go in the trainer's room and see Keith.
All right, who's available tonight? 0-2. That's a fair ball. And Morel got behind it. Good strong throw. So the Rockies got a leadoff bunt single from Charlie Blackmon. Nothing else. We'll go to the second. No score.
If you were watching last night, Nolan Arenado didn't run out a little comebacker that he hit, and Walt Weiss took him out of the game. He benched him. Walt Weiss had some words to say after the game, and Nolan today said, you know what, I appreciated what Walt did.
I have a lot of love for Walt. He's a good coach, good man, and he treats me right. You know what I mean? He's he's always been great to me, and he just wants me to respect the game, and I usually do, and I made a slip, and I let my emotions get the best of me.
I know you love the game.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes it hurts me and it helps me. You know, it's just like I said, I let my emotions get the best of me yesterday, and it won't happen again.
George, that was a sincere Nolan earlier today in the clubhouse, and you know I believe him too, and you guys do. He does love the game. Just a slip last night, so he learned his lesson.
You know, I don't know why anybody would question whether he loves the game or not. I think that's the one thing he does do. He really thrives on the fact of the game of baseball, and he likes participating in it on a daily basis, and he likes performing on this stage, and he made a great point. I slipped up last night.
Yeah, and you know what? I love how it was handled by Walt, and I like today how it was handled by Nolan. He realizes he made a mistake, and Walt had to do what he did also. And Walt, and trust me, he wasn't being gratuitous saying I love Nolan Arenado. He does. They have a very close relationship. Those guys in that dugout will fight to the death for Walt Weiss. And
you know
what he did last night, he knows he can't do. He's not the first big leaguer to do it. This ball's hit on the line to center field. Stubbs going back, leaps and makes a catch. And Gabby Sanchez is retired. And both of them, as I said, handled it the proper way, and you move on. Somebody asked me, a friend of mine, somebody asked me today, George, a friend of mine, said, will that linger? Will you be in the doghouse? No, it's over. He took him out of the game. He talked to him today about it. Nolan apologized, I'm sure, to his team, and you move on. And that's what he's hitting in the 3-hole tonight. He's playing third base.
The best punishment he got last night was sitting and watching 7 innings of baseball when he knew he couldn't participate in it. I mean, that's the best punishment you give a guy. You didn't go to the locker room. You didn't get to take a shower. You didn't get to leave early. You get to sit here with the rest of us and watch the ball game.
Neil Walker takes a strike. George, not only does he have good giddy up tonight, but that ball, either naturally or by design, is really cutting in on the right-handers.
Well, I don't know if it's by design or not, Drew. I just know it has a lot of movement because of the extension that he's using. He's got great extension. Charlie will chase this. What a catch.
And George, you see him eyeball the fence late. It wasn't just the fence where he ended up sliding because it juts out there. He was worried about that corner.
Well, he worried about with the ball floating into that corner, exactly. And I think what he did, he just gave it one quick glance. And once he gave it the glance, he realized he had a little bit of room. And then he dropped to the knee and made a nice catch right at the wall. Good job, Charlie.
And think about this also. Most of Charlie's reps this year have been in center field. So he runs over to right field, and this is not an easy play. And that young man did a nice job. He said, listen, I'm going to defer to Charlie, make sure he catches that baseball. We get an out there. 2 outs. Russell Martin at the plate. He's got an on-base percentage of .420. Last night he walked 3 times. Brett Anderson, who has a real dry wit, good sense of humor. After he said, yeah, he goes, I wasn't afraid of Russell Martin, though it probably appeared that way since I walked him 3 times. And I wasn't trying to just strike out one, but it worked out that way. He was terrific last night. And you spoke of this in relationship to Matzik tonight, George. You faced the same team back to back, not easy, and both times Anderson dominated the Pirates.
He did dominate, and you learned from that. McHenry's obviously watching the game throughout last night. What patterns did you use? How did you attack? I think that's the biggest thing. He dropped curveballs in the dirt last night. He ran a hard slider under the hands. He did a good job talking with the scouts that sat down below last night during the ball game. They just wore out the back foot slider on a lot of the right-handed hitters.
There's Brett. He's working on that blister, and the Rockies, I think, believe they got him out of there in time before it really became what could be a bigger issue. 2-2. And that's a soft line drive that's going to drop for a base hit, and Martin is aboard. Russell Martin now has 9 hits. All right, let me correct that. He's now reached base safely 11 times in his last 13 plate appearances. It's on quite a little run. Gregory Polanco coming up. Tweet your questions using the hashtag Toyota Talk and watch as we answer as many as we can in the 5th inning. So Polanco's been leading off, but against the left-hander, Quinn has changed up the lineup, and he's dropped him to the 7th spot tonight, the rookie. Pirates have won 5 of 7 since the All-Star break. Good pitch by Matzik.
Well, I think they showed last night against the left-handers. Polanco with the longer swing has a difficult time with the off-speed pitch and the timing of that pitch. Very good fastball hitter.
There's the 1-1 breaking ball on the ground to Rosario. Easy play, and another very good inning for Tyler Matzik in the second. Middle of 2 at Coors Field. No score between Colorado and Pittsburgh. Pirates, as you look at Clint Hurdle, we go to the bottom of the second inning. Time for the Steel T Heating and Air Cool Stat. Never a trip charge for a repair. $69 value. Steel T, the T stands for trust. Go to steelt.com. Fewest runs per game against the Rockies since 2010. The Pirates. The Rockies starters since 2012 have a .479 ERA, but when they take on Pittsburgh, it drops by almost 2 runs a game. And I'll tell you something else that's interesting, is the Rockies have just 2 wins since the All-Star break, but it's not due to their starting pitching, which was not good in the first half, not good at all. But in the second half, so far, small sample size, the Rockies have a .266 starters ERA. It's the lowest mark in the National League, 4th in the big leagues. The bullpen obviously has struggled.
It has struggled. It did Pittsburgh, 3 games blown there. So Washington not much better. But so far so good. You got through the ball game last night.
0-2 on Stubbs. Outside 1-2 on Drew. He's tearing up left-handers. Stubbs hitting .360 this year against lefties. And pretty solid .266 against righties. Not this time. Locke with his second strikeout. That'll bring up Michael McHenry in his first at bat against his former club last weekend in Pittsburgh. He went deep, pulled it right down the line. Who wants tacos? Remember, if the Rockies score 7 or more, as they did last night, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Hopefully you took advantage of that on your way to the ballpark today or on your way home.
A look back at the swing of Michael McHenry right down that left field line and very deep for a home run. He can do that. He can leave the yard. He's hitting .319 right now. Short, quick, compact swing.
McHenry's got a 3-0 count. So he remembers the home run he hit against Locke, and Locke remembers the home run he hit against
you always do. And I think as a former player, you go back in against your team, you have a little chip on your shoulder anyway. Locke has only walked 8 though in 48 2/3 innings. It was surprising to be behind 3-0.
Pitched 6 innings, got a no decision against the Rockies last weekend. 3 runs on 7 hits. And that's up the middle, and Matt's going to beat it. Infield hit despite a nice play by Neil Walker. Stay hot, Mike McHenry.
Yeah, why not? High hopper over the top of the mound. Locke let it go, thinking that his shortstop probably was going to cut it off, except he was played over to pull, so you can see how far that Walker had to go get that baseball all the way over to the shortstop side of second on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Bowl. Then comes to the knees, tries to make the throw. McHenry just beats it out.
So McHenry with 1 out at first, and here's Brandon Barnes. Barnes pinch hit last night, 0 for 1. Hit a ball well to center field. Just his 2nd start since the All-Star break. Barnes behind 0-2. See a trade today in baseball. The Red Sox sent Jake Peavy to the Giants for a couple of prospects, pitchers that are fairly close to big league ready.
Well, they're arm strength guys. They throw hard. Their command is still needs a little bit of work, but it is a couple of big arms that they were able to give Peavy. Dan Uggla was brought up yesterday by their ball club. Scudero's back on the DL, and as one scout with San Francisco said, we need somebody to play second. You got to have him out there every game, and Uggla's one of those guys that could end up being a very good situation for him and the Giants.
And Peavy profiles, a fly ball pitcher, George. He profiles much better in a big park like AT than a Fenway.
But he's a veteran guy. I mean, you know, you don't want to run a gamble on a young pitcher in the organization when you're in the middle of the pennant race instead of going to a guy that's been in one over the course of his career. Peavy's been that. Matt Cain's elbow situation also makes people a little leery of what may come out of that. So they had to go get a veteran guy, and they got him.
AJ Pierzynski, guys have changed uniforms lately. Pierzynski signed with St. Louis, of course, with Yachty down for a while still, and he had 3 hits. Hits today for the Cards. Cardinals beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field 6-3. Barnes chases up, and Locke has his 3rd strikeout. 2 outs. That'll bring up LeMahieu. If your windshield has a crack in it, go see Safelight. Safelight online at safelight.com or call 303-287-5000. DJ 2 for 4 last night, including a triple, scored a couple of runs. Takes ball 1. 4-game hitting streak in which he's 7 for 15. And get this, he leads all of baseball since June 22nd in batting average at .371. That covers more than a month, obviously. And sharply hit, but right to short, and that's all for the Rockies in the 2nd. We turn the page to inning number 3. No score. Matzik and Locke pitching well. Goodman, Mark Stott working the ballpark. It's time for the McDonald's McCafe pitch menu. Now at McDonald's, you can enjoy a sweet, creamy McCafe iced coffee. George, here's Tyler Matzik.
I like the velocity, nearly 93 miles an hour, but the opposition has hit 345 against him, but not against the slider, curveball, and changeup. Look at the big disparity there. And so you might see a little bit more of that off-speed stuff and then go back to the fastball for the strikeout tonight with Tyler Matzik.
8, 9, and 1 in the batting order for the Pirates. Brent Morel will lead it off, the former Chicago White Sox. Between 2010 and 2013, appeared in 194 games with the White Sox. Hit 13 home runs, batted .229. And a soft liner to short. Rutledge has it. 1 pitch, 1 out. Pitcher Jeff Locke will approach the plate. Subaru brings you the manager's challenge. George, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if there's a questionable call this year, instant replay actually can be used.
I heard that.
Yep, and it's brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Dougie, what's the recent right-wrong thing going on? Since we always thought the umpires and the human nature of the game was always so good. And they got the call. So what is it right now? When you look that up for us? Thanks. How many times have they been overturned this year?
Oh, 2 on Locke, 0 and 3. And when you get to 0 and 3, you have to go. First strikeout for Matzik. Well, tonight was a big giveaway. A Troy Tulowitzki King Supers jersey distributed to the first 15,000, but there was an oopsie when this thing was made, and I think you can see it. It's spelled wrong. It's spelled Tulowitzki, and there's a T missing. So the Rockies are obviously going to do the right thing and make sure all those folks who came tonight can exchange at a future date in September that jersey for a jersey that they're going to have made with the correct spelling of Troy's last name on it. And in addition, fans who exchange the jersey will receive a complimentary ticket to a future game either later on this year or in 2015. That jersey is spelled right.
By the way, there's they've been overturned, the umpires have, 47.5 times. 370 out of what is this? Oh, excuse me, 47% of the time they've been overturned.
Broken bat, fly ball to left. Brandon Barnes has it. That's another quick, short inning for Tyler Matzik. He's allowed just a single to Martin with 2 outs in the second.
Matzik about to lead it off for the Rocks. Let's get you the University of Colorado Health injury report, and it's about a couple of more guys that are coming back on the hill. Jordan Lyles has been out with that hand fracture. He's been out since early June. He is going to pitch tonight in Modesto. And then Christian Bergman, also with a hand injury, due back on Tuesday to pitch to Tulsa. So, Drew and George, some of these arms are coming back, and you know Jordan Lyles, 5-1, second on the team in wins.
Yeah, Matzik lines it down the left field line. He'll be held to a double because Harrison was playing so, or excuse me, a single because Harrison was playing so close on the left field line. This is called slicing it down the third base line on a high fastball, a little tardy swing, and he's able to shoot it right by Morrill at third base. No play to be made there. Well, let's keep things going.
Charlie Blackmon, a bunt single. He took it with him his first time up. Be a good play again right here. Charlie pulls it, and a diving stab is made for one. And they throw it away. Did that get in the? Yeah, it did get in the camera well. And so Blackmon will move to second, and that's not a smart play by Jordy Mercer. There was no one covering the bag, and Blackmon had it easily beat.
My question is, why did Gabby Sanchez jump out of the way so fast? Doesn't make any sense. I'm glad he did. Didn't make any sense. Feels the ball, gets up and throws it. Now just backtrack. Instead, he ran to right field, and Locke didn't get there in time. 8 errors now. Jody Mercer at shortstop. Yeah, Locke was late getting off, and Gabby took off.
And again, Clint Barmas is still nursing a groin injury. That's why Clint's not available. He's on the disabled list. Rutledge with a runner in scoring position. First time I've been able to say that for either team. And Blackmon takes off for third, and he swipes third base, and that is big.
19th stolen base with one out. The fly ball scores it.
That's why it's such a smart play.
Yeah, not playing defensively smart, just letting everybody go to sleep, and he read it. That's the smart play about it. He just read that there was nobody advancing to the bag on him. He was able to get a big jump, and he was able to steal his 19th base of the season. He's only been caught 5 times.
Saw one look and went. And that'll get the run home. Nice job by Josh Rutledge. Boy, is he producing like a middle of the order guy right now, huh?
Tied a career high with 4 RBIs last night, and he starts off with his second at bat after a strikeout with a line single up the middle. Now with 17 RBIs, and Charlie, after the stolen base, scores on a line drive right back up the middle by Rutledge. Fastball away, goes out and gets it, takes it right back up the middle on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mo. Beyond anybody else's reach, and Charlie comes in to score.
Arenado flew out to the track in center field on the first pitch he saw. Here's the 0-1. And that's a strike.
Nolan got a pretty good fastball and drove it all the way onto the center field wall, 415 feet away. They threw a backup changeup right on the outside corner on a forward strike zone. You saw it just caught the outside edge of the plate. Hey, the next bite to the game is Sunday, July 27th. That's tomorrow when the Rockies take on the Pirates. Visit Rockies.com/green for more information.
Base hit for Arenado. Rutledge will stop at second base. 2 on, 1 out for Rosario.
See where this ball was. Yeah, Nolan just went down and got it. I thought it was in the lower half and down in the strike zone. Nolan, a very good low ball hitter, hits that humpback liner out into center field for a base hit. And the Rockies, with just 1 out, runners at first and second.
Conference at the mound. Rosario bounced third his first time up. Wells Fargo customers, get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. This is bounced to short, and it'll be a double play. In the inning, the Rockies get a run. Matzik started out with a single. Eventually, Josh Rutledge would knock in Charlie Blackmon. 1-0 Rockies.
High Sox. It started on Wednesday afternoon. The Rockies won Wednesday. They won last night as well, so they're going to keep it going. I talked to the Rockies clubhouse manager Alan Bossert about it today, because most players just have the long pants. They're ordered in February from Majestic, that's the maker of the uniforms, and he told me that Brandon Barnes, Michael Kadire, Matt Belisle, and Jorge De La Rosa had short and long pants measured for in February. Now everybody else, they kind of got some different unis. In fact, Rutledge told me last night, Drew and George, that he's wearing Barnes's pants so that he can have the short look with the high socks. You do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, we used to just pull them up and tuck them.
Tuck them in?
Yeah, you just pull them up and tuck them, and you put them. Actually, what you do is take your sanitary and then put it over the top, pull the pan up, and then roll it over the top, and then just pull up, and the sanitary never falls down, the pants never move.
Yeah, with the stirrup too, right?
But now you know you get all the fancy stuff.
Yeah, there weren't short and long pants in your day.
You know what? If you had if it gives you a little mojo, then good. Wear them.
Scissors and a hem, you know, that's what I used to do. My mom would hem them.
Yeah, I know you weren't doing that, Mark. 2-0 on Jordy Mercer, and he fouls it off 2-1.
A little rain falling at Coors Field right now, and that really doesn't affect anything other than our camera people out working very hard in the ring, except for Sam.
Sam's the only guy who doesn't have to bring a raincoat.
That's right.
Except for the ride home on the Harley. 2-2.
Guys in center field all buckled up. There you go. Yeah, that's right. Brian came prepared. This is Brian Peters. He's got the raincoat on. He's hiding over. See, he's hiding over there.
Roger's tougher though.
Yeah, Roger's got everything on. Becomes more of a grip thing as the water gets onto the hand. It starts to come down. It gets a little worse. Oh, that's not fair.
Didn't work though, Brian. He's trying to take his umbrella out. 3-2 down the line. That's a fair ball. That's going to be a double for Mercer. This pitch got elevated a little bit.
Well, you start, again, the rain does affect where your plant foot hits, everything else, but it is a high fastball, much higher than what we've seen from Tyler so far. Ball hook got down in the corner. There you go. McCutcheon in 2013 was 9 for 20 against the Rockies. This year they've handled him very well. He's 3 for 16, 188.
Not able to spin that curveball. It's 1-0. Got McCutcheon on a ground ball to third his first time up. Second time through the lineup now for Tyler Matzik. Runner at second. Mercer represents just the second base runner for the Pirates. McCutcheon trying to stay behind the runner. Hits it to deep right. And that is just foul. Off the bat, I thought it was definitely going to be in the seats foul, and kind of hugged the line the whole way.
A lot of guys that have power in their bats can straighten out a baseball. Meaning when it flares off the right field side like that, that ball wasn't fouled by much, about a foot.
Drew Anderson's moved down, gotten out of the altitude. Drew's up there where we were last night on the rooftop. 1-1 on McCutcheon, and that's inside. 2-1.
You see Tyler wiping his wrist, wiping the forearm off on his pants, trying to feel that comfortable grip. A lot of times you go back and get the rosin back, and some guys don't like rosins, others do, to dry the hand up.
Ground ball to third. Arenado will run Mercer back and get McCutcheon. No advancement, obviously. Gabby Sanchez will step up. It's time for you to tweet us your Rockies fan photos. Use the hashtag #COFanPhoto for an opportunity to have it seen during an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you each night by AT&T. Pirates have not got much production out of first base this year. They have the tandem now of Gabby Sanchez, the former Marlin, and Ike Davis against righties, the former Met, picked up earlier this year. But combined, they've hit just 10 home runs, and that's a power spot. That's 26th in Major League Baseball. Their 37 RBIs is tied for 28. This is on the ground to Arenado. He's still got time. Long throw. And nice job by Rosario. Came back a little bit. Went into foul territory, but stayed on the bag.
Well, really nice footwork is what it was from Rosario. That was outstanding. Nolan's going to have to backhand this baseball, and I'm sure because of the damp infield, that ball skidded on him pretty quick, and then that strong throw by Arenado and the footwork by Willeen Rosario at first base. He's got one bag on, knows he's got to get out of the way, slides the right foot over the top of the bag when he received the baseball on a Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo.
And now a tough out in Neil Walker. Since the All-Star break, he's 11 for 26 with a couple of home runs. And he takes strike one. Walker has 20 hits against lefties this year. The reason I mention that is last year he had 18 for the whole year. 18 for 80, a 225 average from a switch hitting second baseman. This year he's hitting 294 from the right side. .289 average with runners in scoring position. And the breaking ball's fouled off. What do you like here? What pitch?
I like breaking ball down on the back foot. Hard slider.
That's what he went to, and it's hit right at Rosario. It's a little bit out over the plate, and a very good job of pitching by Madsen, given that the leadoff man Mercer doubled. 1-0 Colorado, middle of 4. Drew Stubbs is going to lead it off against Jeff Locke. Let's take a look at our Coors timeless moment. July 26th, 9 years ago, Greg Maddux strikes out Omar Vizquel to become the 13th pitcher in big league history to record 3,000 punch-outs. Tomorrow, Greg Maddux will be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in that beautiful little village in the Catskills, Cooperstown, New York. His brother Mike will be there. And the guy he produced the 3,000 strikeout against at some point should be there too, Omar Vizquel.
I would think so. There'll be quite a few guys there tomorrow.
You played with Billy Hatcher, didn't you, George? That's what I thought. Billy Hatcher, Dougie just handed me a note, had the first career hit against Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. How do you like that?
That's pretty neat. Billy was a pretty good player.
Billy was a really good player. 2-strike count on Drew Stubbs, who struck out his first time against Locke. Where'd you play with Billy again?
Chicago. Before he went and got him over there, he and Sean Dunston came up together at the same time.
Both still in baseball. Sean working for the Giants.
Billy's first base coach was Cincinnati.
Billy was with Lou Piniella, a friend of yours in Tampa.
Well, he's been in Cincinnati for a long time. Weathered the storm of a few managers. It was good work there.
1-2 on Stubbs. Not a heavy rain. It's kind of a pebble in the shoe kind of rain.
Pebble in the shoe. That always hurt my foot.
So it's a little annoying, but it's not. You can. If you're too lazy to take it out,
where did you hear the pebble in the shoe thing?
I just thought of it today because I had a pebble in my shoe earlier. And when I got out of the car, I said, you know what, this is annoying me enough that I'm going to take off my shoe and remove the pebble. That's fouled off. You could describe a player that way. It's kind of like a gnat, right?
Okay.
You're in on that. This ball crushed deep left field. Way back. Get on out of here. Line drive. Home run. Drew Stubbs.
The dominance against left-handers continued for Drew Stubbs. Drew mentioned earlier it at 360 plus against the left-handers. And he takes advantage of a mistake here after what Locke thought he had him struck out on a fastball down and away, and it was off the plate, was not called a strike, tried to come in with a cut fastball. That one didn't stay in the ballpark. He got out of here in a hurry. Line shot, 3 rows up down the left field line. His 11th of the year, 29 RBIs now.
2-0 Rockies. McHenry had a single up the middle his first time. Stubbs is 6 for 11 against the Pirates this year, and it's also his 5th home run in the month of July.
Sound and reaction say it all. Happy group of people there. Dad, way to go. Nice catch, got a souvenir. Think we can get Michael McHenry? Sure. One more look at the swing from Stubbs. That front side really clears, gets the head of the bat out early with that pitch coming and boring on the inner half of the plate. You don't clear those hips early like that, you end up pulling it into the seats.
Three and 2 on McHenry. Curveball got him. Good pitch by Locke. That is his 4th strikeout. First out of the 4th inning.
I thought he threw a pretty good curveball the previous that did not get called a strike here, but right out of the hand you're going to get a good look on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo, how that knuckle, you wrap it up right on top of the seam to create that hard down spin. But yeah, guaranteed 12-6 hook, and he put it right into the mid of Russell Martin.
Here's Barnes. Fumble. I was going to catch it. He got the baseball back. Brandon pops this one up left center field. McCutcheon calling for it. The day after every Rockies victory, get 40% off your online order at Papa John's. Enter the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. So you hungry for a snack right now? Give Papa John's a call. DJ LeMahieu rounded out to short his first at bat. Rockies up 2-0. Rutledge an RBI single. Drew Stubbs earlier in the inning, a home run to left. Ball and a strike on DJ. One and two. LeMahieu brought a .286 average into the ballpark tonight. Last year he hit .280. 404 at bats. In 2012 he hit .297. 229 at bats. That's strike three. So DJ a called strike three. His fifth strikeout, excuse me, fifth strikeout from block. But in the inning, Drew Stubbs got it. 2-0 Colorado as we go to the fifth. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Ford Focus, big MPGs, and Fun to Drive. Ford, go further. And by University of Colorado Health. The Rockies trend of good starting pitching in the second half, something quite honestly they didn't have much of the last 2 months leading into the All-Star break, has continued tonight behind Tyler Matzik in the Rockies with a home run from Drew Stubbs. RBI single from Josh Rutledge, a 2-0 lead in the fifth inning. Russell Martin, Gregory Polanco, and Brent Morrell.
And the Pirates have just 2 hits on the boards. One of those by Martin, a broken bat, flare to left field.
And here's the patient Martin, and he takes ball one on a curveball. It's our Twitter talk inning. Good pitch. Do you like the concept of the lefty specialist out of the bullpen in modern baseball?
Well, I think for me personally, there's certain parks that it fits in. I don't think it can work here because you got to have relievers work multiple innings, and I don't know that it works here. Mike Myers was a very good left-handed specialist that pitched here for a year or so, and then of course Javier Lopez with the Giants was here, but he's more of an inning to a plus inning guy if he has to. So at certain parks it works great if you can afford to carry him.
3-1 on Martin. Seems every time he goes up there, he's got a 3-0 or 3-1 count. And he walks 3 times last night, single and a walk tonight. That's the first walk allowed tonight by Tyler Matzik. Why isn't Billy Martin in the Hall of Fame? Any stories you can share about Billy?
Well, there's quite a few stories I won't share because we're in a 2-0 ball game right now. So maybe at another time.
It's a family audience show. Also.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love playing for Billy. Played for him for a year in '83. I absolutely loved, adored the way he managed the game, the way he conducted himself. On the field, he's one of the best managers I ever played for. Just had some troubles off the field, and in the dugout, and in the locker room. But on the field, he's a very good manager. And to answer your question, I don't know. You know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. He won some world championships, obviously.
Polanco takes high, ball 1. A lot of diamond dry on that infield now. Runner going, and the bunt is foul. Why do they toss out balls that hit the dirt? It's
a great question.
It's a great question because if you hit a ground ball to short, they throw it around the infield and the pitcher gets it back. But if you bounce one to the plate, they throw it out of play. So you're right. It's an age-old question. When they first started throwing balls out of play, it was way back in 1920. And there's a significant story behind that. I'll try to weave in here very quickly. High 2-1. Ray Chapman got hit by a Carl Mays spitball in the head in 1920, and it was in the dusk before there was lights, and he died later that day. By the way, he's the only player ever to die on the field of play. The spitball was outlawed back then. Pay attention, Frazier. And dirty balls had to be replaced. That's when they started going through a lot more baseballs.
Well, they do, and I can remember when I first came to the big leagues, the umpires would sit up above in the stands, and if you were caught talking to an opposing player, you got fined $100 for fraternizing, and if you threw balls up into the stands, you got fired. I mean, you got fined for it. And then when all the strike hit, when was it, 94, 95, when the strike hit, Bud Selig basically ordered the players to start throwing balls into the stands to get fans back, get them more involved with it, and it's carried over all the way to today's game.
Again, Martin going, and this time with a full swing, Polanco fouls it off. So Martin will come back, and it's 2-2. Polanco just 2 for 21 against Rockies pitching this week.
Got a little happy feet over at first base, thinking about getting that running start.
Great catch. A catch by Arenado. Maybe he dropped it.
Dropped it when he hit the ground.
Yeah, but he got the force out.
That was a great play.
That was a marvelous play.
Ball was hit hard off the bat of Polanco, and it's all about reaction, and he lays it out. 2 steps, gets it, and right when he hit the ground, the ball squirted out. He grabbed the baseball, flipped it about 35 feet on just kind of a shuffle pass to DJ LeMahieu. Polanco from the left side was able to beat it out at first base. Man, oh man, what a play by Arenado.
1 out. Polanco at first, and Brent Morel at the plate. Hey guys, with the trading deadline coming up, what would you say was the best deadline trade for the Rockies in the past?
It's a good question.
Yeah, the Rockies haven't typically made big trades around the deadline. You know, some of the more noteworthy trades were off-season trades. Matt Holliday for Carlos Gonzalez, Houston Street, and Greg Smith. Greg pitched a little bit more in the big leagues for the Rockies, but obviously Houston Street became their closer and Cargo became a perennial all-star. You know, Beimel,
Big strike.
was it 09 or 07 when Beimel was picked up? Was it 09, George?
09.
You know, there've been some subtle deals in the past that I remember that paid off pretty well.
Stubbs were out. We're paying off right now in the offseason.
Well, that's an off-season deal, yeah. Trade deadline deal.
Trade deadline stuff. Good fastball out of the hand of Tyler Matzik on the inner half of the plate. Locked him up and gets a strikeout.
And now Jeff Locke with 2 outs. Matzik keeping his focus, firing another strike. And 0-2. Sliders in the dirt. 1-2.
Trying to go away with that fastball, or cut fastball, I should say, on the outer half of the plate. Didn't get a call there. 65 pitches in the game so far. 42 of those have been strikes.
And trying to be a little too fine after getting ahead 0-2. I mean, see how far he can hit it. He's a man at first base. Harrison would be next. 2 outs. Gregory Polanco at first.
Yeah, you're right. 3-2. You got a 2-0 lead. Locke in his career 118 hitter. He does have a couple of RBIs, but it's left on left. You're throwing hard and do just that. Right by.
So Martin led off with a walk, no harm done. Rockies continue to lead 2-0 in the middle of the 5th. eFirst Bank, the home of free checking, is proud to support the home team. Sign up at efirstbank.com. Rockies up 2-0. Matzik has allowed just 2 hits so far in the ball game. Rutledge an RBI single in the third. Drew Stubbs hit a home run last inning. Tyler Matzik, in addition to the shutout baseball over 5 innings, has a base hit to his credit, and he'll lead things off in the 5th. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout from the ballpark tonight. Overcast, sprinkling here and there.
It looks like the rain has stopped now and moved on past the ballpark.
Josh Harrison hugging that left field line.
You know, remember, he sliced that fastball down the left field line at first at bat for a base hit.
Curveball misses, 2-1. And it's 3-1. Ball 4. Locke looked like he slipped there, and a leadoff walk for Tyler Matzik, a guy who rarely walks people, Jeff Locke.
It's bad, particularly on a pitcher. I mean, normally you would go right at it, but right here at the very end, looked like his knee almost double locked on him. On the follow through, it lost balance, rolled over the top of it.
Charlie is 1 for 2. Scored a run in the third when he reached on a fielder's choice. He had a situation where he reached on the fielder's choice and there was a throwing error. It was a 3-6 fielder's choice, and Jordy Mercer tried to double up Blackman, and he wasn't going to be close, and he threw it away. So Charlie went to second, stole third on the very next pitch, and then Rutledge brought him home with a single.
4th time that the Rockies have got a leadoff man out of 5 innings of play tonight in this ball game. Only one has scored. That was a leadoff home run by Drew Stubbs.
One's not going to get over the head of Mercer. 1 out. So that'll bring up Rutledge, a strikeout and a line single to drive in a run in the third. 1 for 2. Got 17 RBIs now.
After the success of a 4 RBI last night, the RBI by Rutledge in his second at bat in this ball game, he chased breaking balls early to strike out in the first at bat. Got a fastball away and hit a rocket into center field. 2 bounced breaking balls he's laid off of, and it's a 2-0 count with 1 out. Pitcher at first. Gabby's going to play off the bag. He'll be able to get you a decent lead over at first base. Good look at it right there. Go out the distance of the guy on the defensive side of things with your first baseman. You start getting extended a little bit beyond that, you're dealing with a catcher that can really throw behind the plate. And Russell Martin.
On the inside corner, 2-1 on Rutledge. Auto glass issues, trust Safelight, online at safelight.com, on the phone at 303-287-5000. And another base hit for Josh.
Stay hot. That's all you can say. Hitting second in the lineup. Arenado has hit the ball hard twice tonight, one all the way to the center field fence and a base hit right back up the middle. Really good job of getting his hands in through the baseball. Josh just shoots it through the left side. Before, it was a ball away on the outer half of the plate. The line drive to dead center field.
One thing's for sure, he likes facing the Pirates. He's 7-14 this year. Arenado a base hit his last time and a deep drive to center field.
We haven't seen this often. He walked Matzik on 4 pitches. He's behind Arenado 2-0. Behind Rutledge. They made him pay for it. Now you got a chance to do it here too.
Well, he's in a fastball count. Rockies have out-hit the Bucks tonight 7-2. Rockies had 10 hits last night. They've got 10 doubles in their last 2 games. Going back to that Wednesday affair against the Nationals. That's out of play. In the last 2 days, George, 11 1/3 shutout innings from their starting pitchers.
You get good starting pitching, you get a chance to win. You get good pitching and you catch the baseball. That hasn't changed. You're going to win games. Get good defensive plays tonight. Arenado, one of the best at third.
Arenado lines one towards center. He's got to get down. It will. Matzik will head toward the plate. He'll score, and everybody's going to move up. Safe at second is Arenado. It's 3-0. Not bad base running by Tyler Matzik, who hasn't been on the bases all that much the last few years.
Well, he's a good athlete. He swung the bat well in high school, on very well. So it's not like he doesn't know how to run the bases. And I think Stu Cole with a 2-0 lead. Why not? Because you can read as a third base coach, this ball's hooking the other way from McCutchen. It's going to be an off-balance throw, which he had to collect his feet beforehand. Matzik just glances. He's already 3/4 the way to third. Head down and driving hard to the plate. He's safe to stand up. Rutledge moves to third. Arenado on the throw to second. You got a chance to really open this game up. They're going to walk Willeen, and then they'll go left on with Dickerson popping out of the dugout. And Drew Stubbs would be the guy to hit. So that tells you something else has happened again with Dickerson out in the on-deck circle.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Rockies, before the game started, lost Carlos Gonzalez. Sprained an ankle at home today. And he's listed as day-to-day. Last time we were talking about Drew Stubbs, he was trotting around the bases. He hit a home run last inning, and now something's happened because Dickerson's going to pinch hit.
Well, Clint looked out of the dugout, and you guys saw at home the same thing we saw up here. He held up 4 fingers in a hurry when he saw that, just because, hey, all right, Dickerson's coming up. I'll go left on left here.
I honestly, and I'm always the first one to say, when people say, well, you know, if you stay healthy, health is relative in sports. You're going to have injuries. It's professional athletics. You're going to have guys that get hurt. Nobody's going to go completely healthy in the course of 162 games. When I talk about nobody, I mean a team. However, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. I mean, every night it seems like two guys are dropping.
Boy, Dickerson hit. The Rockies have hit .303 with the bases loaded. Dickerson's 0 for 4 in his short try at it this year.
And the word on Stubbs is he rolled his left ankle at some point tonight and had to be removed. Really unbelievable, the number of injuries. Dickerson with the bases loaded and a 1-strike count. Rockies may have to throw Ellis Burks out on the field.
Vinny's here.
He'll take a good hack still, you know that. Well, the Rockies blew it open last night in the 7th inning. Remember, it was a 1-0 game in the 7th last night as you look at the scorecard. In the dugout. Rockies have kind of chipped away or run in each of the last 3 innings. You throw one out in the gap here, or even a base hit. Nah, you're talking about a 5-run lead. Matzek's been dealing. Good eye. It's a pitch that gives him trouble. A lot of hitters trouble. That breaking ball in the dirt.
Well, when you're behind in the count on a 1-2 count, you don't want to chase, but you also want to drive. I mean, it's a double-edged sword here on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo, because you've got the bases loaded. You want to be able to try to drill the baseball, drive these runs in, and open this thing wide open with a base hit here. 3-0 Rockies. They've out hit the Pirates 8-2. Pirates with 1 error. That was early in the game. On an attempted double play, Jody Mercer threw in the dugout.
2-2, and again it's fouled off. Gomez up now.
Pitch count sitting at 80.
And this is bounced toward the middle. Spinning throw will just get Dickerson. Mercer made a nice play, but an RBI, and it's 4-0.
39 now for Corey Dickerson.
That's why it's so important, George. You're talking about when there's traffic out there. The infield's back. There's less than 2 outs. Get the ball in play.
Well, you're thinking, they're thinking up the middle. They're back tight on the corners, trying to get a double play ball. And so, exactly, think up to the biggest part of the ballpark. It's right back up the middle. This ball chopped up. It allowed him to get there and make the play on Dickerson, but it also allowed the run to cross home plate, and Josh Rutledge came across to score. Nolan able to move over to third base, and Willeen at second. And it's a 4-0 ball game.
Henry, a single and a strikeout. He takes ball 1. At third base is Arenado. At second base, Willeen Rosario. 2 runs in here in the 5th. Trying to bust him in. We've seen McHenry ambush those inside fastballs. He has pop. Powerfully built backup catcher. Three and 0. It's like Locke's almost pitching around him right now. Barnes on deck. He didn't give in with a fastball 3-0. He went breaking ball 3-0. Ball 4, so they're loaded up again, this time for Brandon Barnes. Unlike Jeff Locke.
As Clint back looking at the charts again, what matchups he wants to try to have. Who hits what? Ray Search will go out now and have a conversation with Mr. Locke on the mound.
Hey, thanks once again for tweeting in your questions last half inning during Toyota Talk. For more answers to questions you may have, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/RootSportsRM. Also, the Rockies released a statement earlier this evening. Tonight they gave away 15,000 Tulowitzki jerseys. They do this all the time, but there was a typo tonight. The Tulowitzki jersey was misspelled. And the Rockies statement reads, "Our sincere apologies to the fans for the misspelling of the Troy Tulowitzki King Supers jersey that was distributed tonight. Acknowledging that many fans came to the game for the jersey. Rather than disappoint them, we decided to go ahead and hand them out. And we've made plans to reproduce the jersey. Fans wishing to exchange will be able to do so at a future date to be announced in September at Coors Field or the Rockies dugout stores. In addition, fans exchanging the jersey will receive a complimentary ticket to a future game either late this year or next year."
The 3 walks, and we talked about Locke's control coming into this ball game, that he just doesn't walk people. He had 3 walks tonight in the ball game, and that's obviously a season high for him. He had 8 coming in with 47 2/3.
Oh, 1, and it's popped up. Polanco in right field. And he's going to make the catch. Rockies get a couple of runs in the inning. 2 hits. There were 3 walks. Colorado 4. The Pirates nothing. Tonight 8-2, we go to the 6th inning. And because Drew Stubbs had to depart with an ankle injury, the Rockies have reshuffled their outfield. Corey Dickerson, who pinch hit for him, goes to left field. Blackman moves from right field to center field. Barnes, who is in left field, goes over to right field. So a little less running for Brandon Barnes as he's closer now to the dugout. And Tyler Matzik has had 5 beautiful innings tonight. He allowed a 2-out single, a soft single to left to Russell Martin in the 2nd. He allowed a leadoff ground ball double down the third base line to Jordy Mercer again in the 4th inning. And then he walked Martin leading off the 5th. He's not hurt by either one of those latter 2 events. Josh Harrison batting leadoff tonight. Will lead it off in the 6th inning. He takes high ball 1. Harrison has hit the ball in the air twice, once to center and once to left. Harrison out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Grew up idolizing Ken Griffey. I would say that of all of the guys in my time broadcasting Major League Baseball that I've asked who their favorite player growing up was, the majority has said Ken Griffey Jr. That beautiful swing. Almost an elegant swing. Always looked like he was having a blast playing the game. Known as the Kid. What a remarkable career he had. Jordy Mercer, 1 for 2. And Mercer gets hit with one of those cut fastballs on the thigh, it looks like. So with 1 out, Mercer to first. Andrew McCutchen will come up. Twice he's hit it on the ground to third baseman Nolan Arenado. We're going over those MVPs previous seasons for the Pirates. Pirate baseball goes back into the 1800s. In fact, they played the first ever World Series in 1903 against Boston. It was the best out of 9. Boston won behind Cy Young. Honus Wagner was the big star for the Pirates. Their first MVP was Paul Wainer back in that famous season of 1927. Every time you mention 27 in Major League Baseball, you think of the murderer's row that the Yankees had back then, with led by Ruth and Gehrig. But 27, the National League MVP was Paul Wainer, the first Pirates to capture an MVP. Dick Groat won it in 60. The great Roberto Clemente won it in 66. And then we mentioned the guys Frage pitched against, Dave Parker in 78, Stargell in 79, then Bonds a couple times in the early 90s. Last year, this man, Andrew McCutchen. 2-0 on Andrew.
You really didn't. You didn't say that right. You said I pitched against. I attempted.
Well, you listen, man. There were a lot of people who attempted to get those guys out.
Attempted to pitch against those guys.
Saw a piece yesterday, George, on Willie Stargell. And I'm trying to remember who the quote was from. It may have been. It wasn't Teddy's. You know who it was? It was not Ted Sizemore. It was with the Cardinals.
Could have been a number of guys that played against him at the time.
Catcher, tremendous player.
Ted Simmons.
Ted Simmons, thank you. Ted Simmons said, you know, people look at the numbers, the 475 home runs that Stargell had, and they think, oh, he's just a power hitter. So he was a tremendous hitter.
Yeah, he was. Very good hitter.
And again, a good pitch made. Keeping McCutchen off balance. Matzik gets him to hit a weak fly ball to center. 2 outs.
He's really handled the middle of their order very well. I mean, he's given up 2 hits. One down to Martin, a flare to left, and a ground ball double to Mercer. He's done a nice job handling the middle of the order. Kept his pitch count down, which is at 77, with 2 outs here in the 6th. Follow every Rockies game with MLB.com at-bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get instant replay, scores, stats, audio, and a whole lot more.
Gabby Sanchez is at the plate. Gabby hits it foul. Michael Martinez. Now, if that goes fair, George, what's the ruling on that?
He's just protecting the ground screw in the back, the camera guys.
Yes, you guys usually do that with a glove, not a bat, though. 0-1. And Sanchez hits it in the air to center field. Blackman's out there. Charlie's got it. 6 strong innings, 6 shutout innings for Mr. Matzik tonight. 4-0 Rockies. Down in the truck has uncovered first the verbal. Well, we'll show you what happened to Drew Stubbs. This is on his home run swing. Watch his lead ankle, his left ankle. Watch it. It's going to come. The spike comes out, and then he re-weights on it. But George, he doesn't have the spikes around. He kind of rolls on it a little bit, and he trots around the bases. And then when he got to the dugout, as he's giving everybody high fives, he had more of a grimace on his face, and he said he rolled his ankle. We read his lips, and he rolled his ankle coming out of the box, and that's why he had to be removed. It's a high fly ball to right. Polanco's got it. LeMahieu's retired.
You kind of read it right here. Great work, guys.
Nice job, Javi. Our lead tape operator. Tyler Matzek's been on twice, a single and a walk. He's gone Little League tonight, Frazier. You know, in this business, we repeat ourselves. I would say from time to time, but a lot. You know, you do 150 games, you're going to come back to similar thoughts. But what's been most impressive for me with Tyler, the preparation and the focus every 5th day that he presents, and it's really been, you know, we see him between starts, and he's got that focus, and he's finally gotten here, and he's not here to say, boy, I made it. You know, if I get sent down, I get sent down. He wants to be here to stay.
Well, I think where I saw the growing process change dramatically was in Tulsa when he was under Darryl Scott as a pitching coach there. And Dell's done a great job. Right now he's got Gray, Anderson, and Butler there. And there's a reason they're there with him. He does a great job with the pitching staff. He understands it. He pitched at the big league level, long-time minor league pitcher. And I think The other things that he does, he can ground out sharply to lock, but the other thing that he does other than just work with mechanics and pitches and different things is the preparation in between starts. You know, charting of the pitches and then explain to me what you saw tonight and why your stuff's going to work. I mean, it's a teaching process the whole time.
One ball, one strike on Blackman.
Yeah, Charlie's been pretty good today. The sliding catch over against the wall, obviously the bunt to lead things off here in this ball game against the Pirates. Then he came up here with that hard ground ball that goes into the seats. He stays there, gets to second when it gets there. Then he steals the base, and Rutledge comes up with a big base hit. Ball was rocketed right at him.
Yep, Charlie hit that on the nose, but right at Gabby Sanchez. We are through 6 innings at Coors Field. The Rockies have all the runs.
This weekend, that means the return of Clint Hurdle, the Rockies' former manager, 13 years in this organization. And he said that his wife Carla came back last weekend with his son Christian and also his daughter Maddie Madison. And fans probably remember she has Willie Prater syndrome, doing okay. And of course, we had to ask how Madison's getting along here in Denver.
One of the places we could not go to was the Children's Hospital, because I don't know how many years when Maddie, Carla, and I would walk in, it was like Norm walking in the bar. Cheers. Hey, Clint, Carla, Maddie, here you go again. They got to go back and for a revisit with the endocrinologist and a bunch of people. She said it was a blast. So many people are still there, and so many people were just so excited to see Maddie's growth and development. And she's in a good place. Thanks for asking.
I did say that wrong. It's the Prader-Willi syndrome, and Neil Walker grounds out guys to start this inning for the Pirates. He said that she's going into middle school, so she's got 6 semesters happening, and he's just excited that she is still continuing to develop, so good for Madison.
Yeah, it's great to hear. We both visited with Clint about how she's doing, and Christian, his little boy. Made a lot of friends to Clint and Carla and their family in their time in Colorado, and it's still near and dear to his heart, the whole Rocky Mountain region. With 1 out, Russell Martin naturally takes ball 1. And ball 2. Why don't you set him to first? That's all he's been doing lately.
You know, they have that thing in high school where you can just go automatic. You know, I'm going to say 4 pitches. You just go on down there.
Three and 0. That's how Barry Bonds used to be treated, and this is not intentional. I think it's just one of those situations where he just hasn't seen many strikes the last couple of days. 3 and 1. By the way, Neil Walker grounded out to lead off the inning. Walker's 0 for 3. That happens. It's baseball. But he's reached it 23 straight, which is the longest stretch in the big leagues right now. 3 and 2. Martin hitting considerably better in a Pirate uniform than he has the last couple of years with the Yankees. 50 points higher. Missed. Ball 4. 2 walks tonight, 3 walks yesterday, 5 in 2 days. We 1 out. Martin to first for the 3rd time today. He's also had a base hit. Gregory Polanco coming up. Our AT&T fan photo of the game. What do we have? Oh, remember this? This is a young lady who all she wanted for her birthday was a selfie with Chuck Nasty. Guess what she got? A selfie with Chuck Nasty. Thanks for sharing that. That's our AT&T fan photo.
Matzik with 7 ground ball outs, 9 fly ball outs, 3 strikeouts in the ball game, and 1 out here. Yeah, like a lot of the bullpen, the guy's starting the preparation. He's got his glove in his hand. Bo's walking down, handing the baseball, and obviously starting to throw. Tommy Kahnle, who's been very good last night, came in, cleaned up an inning. Matzik due up 8th. And right now the Rockies bench is extremely thin, with Gonzalez with the questionable ankle. Dickerson had to go in the ball game. Oh boy. Soft serve to left.
Martin will stop at second. 2 on.
Corey, nice job getting over on the line, catching the ball and throwing it on the run right on the money to Arenado.
Brent Morel coming up. Just Polanco's 7th hit, 51 at bats against left-handed pitching this year. Jim Wright for the first time tonight out of the dugout.
That's to buy little times, what that is.
Yeah, but you know, Walt is starting to allow his starters to go deeper in games and just let him catch his breath for a moment. The pitch count's, you know, really solid at this juncture, 89 pitches. And if you look back over the last 5 starts, Matzik has got 6 innings or more in every one of those. He's done it again tonight, so it's 6 starts in a row. His first start in the big leagues, he went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits, and beating Atlanta in his big league debut. The 2 shortest Frazier of his career, 5 innings, 3 runs, 10 hits in Los Angeles, and then he went 5 1/3 against Milwaukee. So he has not, knock on wood, he hasn't had one of those, you know, ones where everybody has them where they get chased early. He's given the bullpen an opportunity each night not to have to go get 12 outs or more.
And what you're watching, 47 2/3 coming into the ball game. You're not worried about the innings with the guy. He's been extended out to 160, 170 innings at the minor league level. What you want to have him do is win the baseball game. So he's got a 4-0 lead. You got to buy some time. If you bring in the heart toward Kahnle and it works you out of this inning, then play the bullpen the rest of the way.
Travis Snyder on deck, and now he misses and gets in a 2-0 count. The Ford Strike Zone's powered by Ford Cars, big MPG, smart technology, and unsurpassed quality. See what happens when fun meets the road. Ford, go further. You know what, George? I went to turn really quickly. I hit my mic right into my mouth.
Did you?
I got jabbed, huh? 2-0. Good pitch.
Good off-speed pitch on a 2-0 count. Confidence to do it. 82-mile-an-hour slider. It's just feeling and believing that on the release point, trust the grip, get the hand in position, you'll have a good result, and he did. All on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mode for you at home.
Pick plays on. Pretty close. Martin stayed on his feet. Usually you assume, well, it's not close when a guy doesn't slide. That is not necessarily the case here.
No, it could have been tricked into it too, thinking coming back on it. You got to make sure you hit him right on the money too. The last thing you want is a throw out into center field.
2-1 on Morel. This should be 2. And it will be. Nicely done. Safely through 7 innings. No runs on 3 hits allowed by Tyler Matzek. 4-0 Colorado. Time for our Cooney Lexus look back, and it's all good tonight. And it begins with Tyler Matzek's work. In 7 innings thus far, he is not allowed a run, just 3 hits. He has been on his game, and the Rockies slowly and methodically have gotten after Jeff Locke, including a home run by Drew Stubbs, who actually sprained his ankle when he hit that ball out and had to be removed afterward. Nolan Arenado had an RBI single. Nolan's had a very good game offensively and defensively. Josh Rutledge has had a good game. 2 more hits tonight after driving in 4 last night. He's got a ribby this evening. That look back brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has a new address. They're open in Greenwood Village and Colorado Springs. Locke still out there. Rutledge, Arenado, Rosario on a night where Stubbs had to leave after hitting the home run. Carlos Gonzalez with the same kind of injury, an ankle injury, suffered at home today.
Unbelievable.
He obviously was in the original lineup, had to be scratched. 1-2 on Rutledge, and with pitch number 100, he throws a changeup that fans Rutledge. Wow, what's going on around the city tonight? Looks like all kinds of rainstorms away from the ballpark.
It's raining up north is what it's doing. It's just a lot of little breaks across there. Depending on where you live right now, there's certain parts of it's getting watered pretty heavy.
Nolan Arenado, 2 hits tonight. Mentioned the defensive work. This ball's hit a long way to left. Stay fair, and it may be gone. It is a foul ball. Listen, he always comes, George, ready to play Arenado. And he was embarrassed by what transpired last night, and he's taking it out on the diamond tonight.
Well, he's just, I mean, played great defense, number one, and he's thrown the bat extremely well. He's 2 for 3, couple of singles and an RBI. There's been times in his career that he has had similar instances. It just hasn't been on the biggest stage of baseball at the big league level. Oh, jumped all over that inside heater. That guy, the famous Dave's headache at the barbecue down there, because I mean, he smoked it up on the. Yeah, he got it right up there on the corner of the club level here on the line.
That's inside.
The next set in the exclusive 2014 Authentic Collectible Series of gift with purchases is now available at the Rockies dugout stores. Stop by any location to get yours before they are all gone.
This ball well hit left center field. He did not miss it. It's gone. Flirting with a home run earlier in the at-bat. He makes it official with his 8th of the year.
Yeah, it's fun to watch him play. I mean, I felt privileged to watch it in the Cal League, the Texas League, and now I'm getting to watch it at the big league level. A very, very good hitter.
Nothing Colorado. 5th RBI in the last 5 games for Nolan as well.
Love to see that picture and hear the reaction of the fans.
1-1 on Rosario. 2 balls and a strike. Change up away. Ball to third. And Morel throws across. 2 outs. Here's our CenturyLink link to what's next tomorrow afternoon. 2:10 start here. We'll be on the air at 1:30 on Root Sports with our pregame show. Edinson Volquez and Franklin Morales tomorrow. Volquez 8-7. Frankie's got a .500 record. Volquez lately hasn't liked to pitch at Coors Field.
Really kind of a different guy now than what he was that you have seen in the past out of him. He has pitched throwing the baseball a lot better.
Second at bat for Corey Dickerson, an RBI ground out his first time up after he replaced Drew Stubbs. Big swing, his hat almost came off.
Yeah, see the ball left-handed, thought he had a pitch he could drive somewhere. Had a lot of back leg drive, and at the very end of this thing, everything almost came off. He has a huge follow-through because of the torque he puts on that back.
1-2. Rockies. This ball's lifted to deep right field. Polanco going back near the wall. Gone. Dickerson with another home run. Rockies' third of the night. Corey's 13th of the year.
40 RBIs now for Corey, too. How's the substitution worked out? A couple of home runs and 3 RBIs for the Rockies combined out of that outfield tandem of Stubbs and Corey Dickerson. A lot of power in the swing. This deep fly ball to right field. Locke thinking it's going to stay in the ballpark. Got up in the seats pretty good here. Clint's going to make a double switch. Harrison's going to come out. Martinez will go to left.
Second home run for Dickerson against a lefty this year. Pimentel coming in. Locke gone after giving up 6 runs on 10 hits in 6 2/3. Followed the Nolan Arenado home run by a batter or two. Dickerson just a high fly ball to right field that had enough carry on it to get over the auxiliary scoreboard. And that chased Jeff Locke. Michael Martinez comes in. He's in left field. Josh Harrison goes to third. Brent Morel out of the game. And we were inaccurate. It's not Pimentel coming in. It is Junmar Gomez coming in. Saw him when the Rockies played the Pirates at PNC last weekend.
He had warmed up early in the ball game. McHenry will get his first look. 324, couple of home runs for McHenry to go along with 9 RBIs.
One on McHenry. It's in the dirt. 2-1. Gomez was with the Pirates for 34 ball games last year, so he did overlap with McHenry. Prior to that, he was with the Indians. Massive throwing in the Rockies bullpen.
Early, Canely had started things up and started going. A lot of times I know that Tyler's gone 7 innings. The pitch count isn't bad. It's actually very good. But as you set through these long innings and pitching changes, kind of on a nice night here at Coors Field, you start to tighten up. That's when you play it smart. 93 pitches for Walt Weiss's starting pitcher tonight, Tyler Matson. As a manager, you want to watch that protection side of things for him.
Two. This ball rifled to left. McHenry continues to sting the baseball when he's given the opportunity to start. He's been on 3 times tonight, 2 singles and a walk.
Picking on the fastball, which is good. Able to fight off a nasty pitch on the outside corner in the previous. This time they try to go back out, but it runs back to the middle. Drives it to left field on the line right at Martinez.
Outside on Barnes. Brandon's 0 for 3. And catches his own. 1-1. This ball's driven to center field and deep. McCutchen will get back and make the catch. That ball was hit on the screws, but it's a long out. Much to the disappointment of Brandon Barnes. But Arenado, he got to trot around the bases, as did Corey Dickerson in the inning. The Rockies keep tacking on. They're up 6-0 as we go to the 8th.
Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By McDonald's. Now at McDonald's you can enjoy a sweet, creamy McCafe iced coffee. And by Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. It's been a pleasant night at Coors Field amid a handful of raindrops. The Rockies have swung the bats well again, and they've gotten an outstanding performance on the hill from Tyler Matzik. 6-0 they lead as we go to the 8th inning. Matzik will give way here in the 8th to Nick Massett. Tyler Matzik in 7 innings. No runs, 3 hits. That's it. A couple of walks, 3 strikeouts. He hit a batter. Michael Martinez will lead it off against Massett.
Well, he was obviously the guy. Josh going to boot this one. Not good there. Josh got 9 errors now.
Martinez reaches on the error, and that'll bring up Josh Harrison.
Well, going to slice on that left side to him. Going to go over and try to get to the center of the body. Just the hop got him right at the very end. One thing about Tyler Matzik tonight, as we look at Matzett's numbers, 31 ball games for him to appear in now. His record's 1-0, 488 earned run average, 25 innings pitched. What was impressive for me with Tyler Matzik tonight, he struck out 3, he walked 2, but he pitched to contact. 9 ground ball outs, 6 fly ball outs, nothing hit hard. Good job. Strikeouts are great. You like to have them more in the back end of your bullpen. And the only reason I say that, strikeouts drive up pitch counts in a hurry. If you get a guy that strikes out a lot of guys, you're going to have a high pitch count in a game.
Outside, that's 1-1.
Coors Field is available year-round. Special events in most areas of the ballpark can be reserved. Call 303 Rockies for more information.
See if they can roll 2 here. Good feed. Rutledge to first. Another 4-6-3 double play. Rockies turned one of those last inning. 2 outs in the 8th inning. The Rockies up 6-0.
Taylor made. That's what you tried to do. The infield shortened up in the middle. Get a ball on the ground right to DJ, and he just flipped it on right to Rutledge. And Rutledge snapped throw on the first to get the double play ball.
Jordy Mercer 1 for 2, and he was hit by a pitch. He was the only extra base hit tonight for Pittsburgh. A double down the left field line, and Massett misses away, ball 1. Tyler Matzik, as you look at McCutcheon on deck, 4th Rockies pitcher this year to go at least 7 innings, allow 3 or fewer hits, and not allow a run. Juan Nicasio against the Mets at Coors Field on May 1st. Jorge De La Rosa on May 16th against the Padres. Jolie Chassin on June 12th against Atlanta. Casio's in AAA. Chassin has a shoulder issue and is on the disabled list.
And Nicasio now working out of the bullpen.
That's also true. Turns into a very fine inning for Nick Massett. The error does not hurt him. 6-0 Colorado, middle of 8th.
for the Rockies as they have a 6-0 lead over the Pirates, and he's looking for his first hit tonight. He has 20 multiple hit games as of last night, and I asked him if it helps if he goes to the opposite field.
I don't usually try to go the other way. It just happens. I do try to stay inside the ball, and I try to hit it hard. But no, just anything hard to hit and moving around or whatever. It's in whatever situation, try to be successful.
Drew and George, this is his 99th game of the season. This month he has started 18 games. He has a hit in 15 of those 18 starts, hitting .344 in the month of July, and we know what he does defensively at second base as well.
Well, we do. I mean, it's a very good second baseman, but I think offensively he does think up the middle an awful lot and to the right side. I mean, that's where a lot of his hits go, whether he's trying to do that or not. He really keeps his hands well inside the baseball.
Just like he did there, and he gets a lot of hits to right field, as you were describing, Mark, and he gets one there, starting another hitting streak. In fact, 43 of his hits this year have been to right field, 34 straight away, only 14 on the pull side.
And this is a running fastball in on his hands. If he takes a pull swing on that, you're going to end up having your bat shattered. What's going to happen?
Ben Paulson, as you see the swing, Ben Paulson is going to pinch hit here for Masson. Paulson ever off to a great start in his young career. It's inside. One final thought on Mark's story on DJ LeMahieu. I've had a number of conversations with Walt Weiss about LeMahieu. He's Mr. Steady, and Walt goes a couple of notches above just being Mr. Steady. He said he's a championship caliber second baseman. And this ball's pulled into the corner. You can't get Ben Paulson out. We'll finish that thought in a moment. DJ is going to get a green light from Stu Cole, and now a late stop sign. Paulson was on his way to third. He'll slam on the brakes and head back to second. Second and third, nobody out.
And how great is that?
Paulson's going to get called in the manager's office, going to get called up to the next league.
There's not another league, and I tell you what, he's waited long enough to get to this one right here. He has waited a long time to get an opportunity to perform on this stage, and as a left-handed pinch hitter, the Rockies would need that either way. With Morneau healthy, he's shown here with that line drive double to right field. Stu Cole running down the line, he's looking at all the relays coming in. He thought about waving, then he put the stop sign on, and then DJ had to put it on for Paulson because he's looking over thinking they're going to try to score him, and he was thinking about 3.
Infield in, Blackman at the plate, 1 for 4 tonight. He scored a run. Great opportunity to drive one in here. He's sitting on 53 RBIs.
Brooks Brown's warming up right now down in the Rockies bullpen.
And what Walt meant by he's a championship caliber second baseman. I mean, he's not Joe Morgan. He's not going to hit 25 home runs a year, and probably he's never going to be an MVP type guy, but he plays outstanding defense. You know what you're going to get every day. Hits behind runners. He's going to be a 280, 285 kind of hitter. He's so reliable, and what the final analysis is, if he's your second baseman and you're really good in other places and you pitch well and you have a championship caliber team, it's not like you're hunting for another second baseman.
No, he's fine. You know, the Rockies have hunted for a long time for second baseman.
You're right.
And you have one now that's pretty good at what he does.
There's another trade that paid dividends for the Rockies. We had that question earlier during Toyota Talk about deadline trades, and the Rockies haven't technically made a lot of deadline trades, but some of the trades they made in the offseason, that was one where Casey Weathers, who never panned out, never pitched in the big leagues, went to Chicago
and unfortunately had surgery again.
Yeah.
He's back playing again, though.
It's a shame what's happened to his career, but the Rockies got Tyler Colvin in return and DJ LeMahieu. Colvin had a really good first year with the Rockies. He had some back issues. He's now with the Giants. He's been up with the Giants. And DJ is settled in as the Rockies second baseman. That was also Ian Stewart was the other player who went in that deal. Ian now in the Angels organization. One, two.
He since has been designated down to AAA, and Stewart has. First 15,000 fans through the gates on Tuesday, August the 5th, will receive a rally cap courtesy of Jeep. Get tickets for this ball game. It all comes with the Chicago Cubs in town. It's a nice looking cap. I like the Rockies. They're doing everything now. I like it. Dougie, you'll have one of those. You'll like that. You could take it home and give it to Lindsay. So I'm sure she wears a rally cap a lot. While she's making wonderful banana bread. Hope you're listening. Thank you.
2-2. Turned on. Ripped down the line. Foul.
Can you imagine? You know, every time I see him swing, and I thought him at the All-Star game, I saw all those things going on. And I'm thinking, why were you a pitcher at Georgia Tech for a while? I mean, you know, Rusty Greer turned him into a hitter in between that sophomore junior year playing in a collegiate league down in Texas. And you're like, you know, long-time big leaguer Rusty Greer. And I'm like, how are you on the mound, Charlie?
Good question. Evidently, he's pretty good at that, too.
I guess.
He went. I thought he held up. Blackman's upset.
But he didn't go. That's why I'd be upset, too. He did not go. He called that too quick. Gary Cooper called it way too quick.
And he called it on the swing. That's why he pointed at the bat. And
he called that way early. You'll see it on the overhead more than you will here.
Get help. He held up. If it's that close, get help.
Just ask. That's all. That's what Charlie was saying. He calls it on a swing, and Charlie immediately just ask. Ask. You got second and third. And he just walked around, went back to the dugout. But it's not that hard. Just look down at third base and ask.
Junmar Gomez now to Rutledge. Rutledge 2 for 4. LeMahieu at third. Paulson a pinch hit doubles at second. Rutledge drives another hit to center field. This has scored 2. Rockies had 8 last night. They've got 8 tonight. Tacos for everybody once again. Rutledge 4 ribbies yesterday, 3 tonight. Have a weekend.
Yeah, no kidding. Have a great weekend. Fastball away again. This more into right center field. Paulson's going to score easy behind DJ. And all of a sudden, 19 RBIs now for Josh Rutledge on the season.
And again, officially, there's the word. Tacos tomorrow. Between 4 and 6, get your Rockies taco special. No lid, just foul. Guccione hopping out of the way. That's why you do all that working out, Gooch. No, you can't catch it. That would not be legal.
It would be a lot of fun, I can tell you that. Trying to go slider away. Nolan going to the opposite field with it.
Yeah, another great crowd at Coors Field tonight. 44,611. They witnessed a terrific performance on the hill from Tyler Matzik, and another breakout performance from the offense.
And they stuck around with that rain that hit. They're still here at the ballpark.
Nolan eyeballing it off the plate. It's 1-2. Nolan tonight, 2 singles and a home run. The one time they got him out, that was on a ball almost to the wall in center field. Rutledge at first. He's riding a 7-game hitting streak as well. And that's toward the middle of the diamond, and they're going to steal a hit from Nolan that time. Good play by Mercer. He gets the force at second on Rutledge, and that'll bring up Rosario. First baseman will lead Rosario. He's had a couple of chances tonight that were not of the routine variety that he handled very well.
Handled very, very well. Well, it's paid off all the way around. His defense has been pretty good. He walked in the ball game tonight. McHenry gets the catch. He's 2 for 3 tonight. A couple of singles.
The only players without a hit, Willeen, as George mentioned, intentionally passed. He's 0 for 3. Barnes 0 for 4. Matzik had a single and a walk while he was on the hill. Rockies didn't score in the first 2 innings. They've scored in every inning since, save the 6th inning. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, 2 here in the 8th. This Pirate team had entered the series last night, a season best 7 games above 500. If you go back about 6 weeks, they had the best record in baseball. This is going to be a tough pickup. Harrison makes a nice play by Harrison.
Well, really nice play. They're playing left field, showed up and made that play.
That's why he was an all-star this year. Just give me a glove, I'll play wherever you want, Skip. 8-0 Rockies.
Brooks Brown on for the 8th time.
6 in the 3rd inning so far, 7 strikeouts. A hard-throwing Brooks Brown, #1 pick of the Arizona Diamondbacks, signed in the offseason as a minor league free agent. Again, the work of John Weil, the pro scouting director of the Colorado Rockies, pushing the signing of some of these veteran minor league guys, and you never know when you may need them. And that need has become very significant this year with all the injuries to the Rockies pitching staff. Brooks will come on to try to close it out here in the 9th inning. Fastball 92 to 95. He gets McCutchen to start it. First pitch fastball off the plate at 94.
Here's the 1-0 on the ground to short. And Rutledge throws out. McCutchen is 0 for 4. 1 gone in the 9th inning. That'll bring up Gabby Sanchez. And Ike Davis is going to pinch hit for Sanchez. Davis doesn't much like the Rockies, because all they throw are left-handers. They don't allow him to play.
Cuts down on his game time, doesn't it? There's his dad, one of my teammates.
Big Ron Davis.
Yeah. Low 3/4, hard-throwing right hand.
Ike used to be able to really throw when he was at ASU.
93 miles an hour, left-hander. Some teams didn't know whether they'd go pitcher or hitter. When they went through the draft, he was the #1 draft pick by the Mets.
Ball, 1 strike. He's got light tower power, as they say in scouting circles, but making contact enough has been an issue.
It has been a definite issue, unfortunately for him. Great kid.
Is that where Ron ended up settling, George, in
Phoenix,
Arizona?
Yep, Phoenix, Arizona. Had a guide service for a long time. Not sure if he's still doing that. Fishing guide service. He always liked the outdoors.
This is in the air to pretty deep left field. And it's gone.
That's what he can do.
Yep, he went oppo, and he breaks up the shutout. Rockies lost their shutout last night in the 9th inning. They won 8-1. And tonight they're up 8-1. So Brooks Brown gives up an opposite field home run to pinch hitting Ike Davis.
Another look at this fastball running away at 93 miles an hour. A lot of ballparks, you know, they hear them say this is a Coors Field type home run. It's right down the left field line, right in the first row or the first bucket of seats out there.
Neil Walker's reached in 23 straight games. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Stretch of games reaching is the longest currently going in Major League Baseball. Something happened tonight in Big League Baseball that hadn't happened in a while. Toronto beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium 6-4. They had lost 17 straight games in the Bronx.
Well, the thing is, Chris Capuano started for the New York Yankees today, the guy that just traded over there for cash considerations. And he did not give up all 6 runs. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. The bullpen faltered for the Yankees.
0-2 on Walker. Two.
ground foul. Franklin Morales, Edinson Volquez tomorrow.
Well, Volquez, you mentioned, he hadn't pitched well against the Rockies. 3-7 with a 780 earned run average in his career versus the Rockies. He's made some changes in his delivery from where it once was. They've gotten pretty good success out of it since he's been over with the Pirates. He's won 8 ball games this year.
He's 1-5 with an 845 at Coors Field.
It's not very good. It didn't matter where it was. I mentioned that overall record.
Two and 2 on Walker. And Walker hits it in the air to Dickerson. Easy play for Corey. 2 gone in the 9th inning. Russell Martin. Thing separating the Rockies from handshakes. Strike one.
Very quickly, Jordan Lyles, 3 innings, 3 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. So things going well for Jordan. He's got 4 ground ball outs, 2 fly ball outs. Pitching for Modesto tonight in High A against Inland Empire, leads in the game 1-0.
1-2 to count. And the 1-2 sliders just off the plate. 2-2. And the fastball's looped to shallow right center. DJ runs it down. Ball game over. And the Rockies have won their last 3. They beat the Pirates 8-1 Friday night. They've beaten the Pirates 8-1 Saturday night. Josh Rutledge drives in 3 more. The Rockies got an outstanding pitching performance from Tyler Matzik after a great start from Brett Anderson last night. Our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game. A lot of places we could go tonight. But we go with Josh Rutledge. Rutledge with an RBI single here, and then later in the ball game he'd have a 2-run single. He had 3 hits in all this evening. He's really swinging the bat like he did when he first came up from Tulsa a couple seasons ago. A freaky fast delivery of the game. Josh Rutledge. Rockies win it 8-1 this evening. Matzik gets his 2nd major league victory. Jeff Locke takes the loss. He falls to 2-2. The Rockies do it in front of more than 44,000 tonight. We go to center field. Jenny.
Hey, Drew, thanks so much. Rockies win a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Always fun to talk about that at home. 8-1, the final. Deja vu.